Hey, it is Friday. How is everyone? Yeah, I'm talking too loud. I'm excited because I get to fire up the router and make some sawdust. So today we are finally going to finish up this. Well, I'm hoping that we'll finish it up. We're going to finish up this bar sign, which is, this is one. If you go back and watch videos number 191, 192, and 194, I've been working on this sign. The last one was 194, so where I did that CA glue filler. So this is actually going to be the gentleman that ordered this sign is ordering this for his brother. So we're basically duplicating it in a bigger version with some more lettering on it. So I'm going to start doing some carving on this. Let me get that out of the way, but I want to go over something real quick first. You guys know that my profile bit looks like this. This is our profile bit, which is what I'm going to be using on this board. But I'm not using, this is a brand new one, never been touched with a grinder. I am using one that has been ground down. So you can see that this one, the flute length is shorter, and it'll cut a fatter line than the one in my left hand, this one here. And that's what it looks like after I've ground it down, probably 15 times. Yeah. So you can see it's going to cut a fatter line. Well, this is why I save these and how I can use them, because I'm carving some 6-inch letters here, and I don't need it to carve a super fine line the way the profile bit does. So this is what I save, the profile bits that I use, that I grind down, that end up being fatter, cutting a fatter line. This is what I save them for, and it makes it nice because they, let me put this away so I don't mess up this brand new bit. This is the kind of signs that I save these fat cutting profile bits for. So let's just roll into this. Let me put this on, and I'm going to set the depth at, it's probably going to be around 1/4 inch. I guess I could use the depth gauge to find out. It's right at 1/4 inch. You guys probably can't see that because it's clear plastic. It's actually, that right now is actually a little bit deeper than 1/4, just slightly over. But it's going to cut good. I may back it off a little bit. So let me put some silicone spray on. You know, somebody was asking me the other day, what could you use in place of this silicone spray? You could use WD-40, you could use 3-in-1 oil, you could use any kind of, you could use Pam cooking spray. I used to use Pledge furniture polish. You can use anything that will give you a smooth slide on there. So I've used all kinds of things over the years. You don't have to use this silicone spray, but you can. It's just what I happen to use right now. But the only thing is, just make sure, like what you saw me do right there, whatever you use, just take the excess off of there, because you don't want that to get into the pores of your sign. So anyway, let's, oh my gosh. I am going to, being as this thing is pretty wide, I'm going to start carving it. Now I've got, you guys know I'm using my big, don't break I'm using my bench here, but I do have, to keep it from sliding around, I've got that pad underneath it, that shelf liner, drawer liner kind of thing. For those of you that,
you can get that stuff at the dollar store.
Oh yeah, you can get it at the dollar store. It's super cheap, or you can get it at Walmart. Gosh, every place has that. So let me move this down, and I'm going to carve this bottom line of outset letters here. I'm doing this just to make sure that I get all that residue off of there, that it doesn't make my base slide or stick. Excuse me, not slide, but stick. Make sure my, oh gosh, I gotta put on my my cheaters. Sorry for the glare. Avert your eyes there. All right, got my magnifiers on. I think we are good to go. Let me see, I'm gonna turn, oh, I need to put that on the other way, huh? I want that, I'm gonna turn this around for filming purposes. I think this makes it a little bit better, so you guys can see a little bit better. And I'm got the cord pointed toward me, so you guys got a little bit better view. All right, are you ready there, Miss Director? Why is my thing sliding down? I need to tighten up my deal there. All right, that's better. Ready? Here we go.
Ready as we're going to get.
That's actually cutting a little too wide. Back it off a little bit. I'm going to mention something real quick. You guys saw when I was cutting through here, it was kind of soft and then it got a little hard. When I came back up cutting this direction, you could see, if you go back and rewind it, you could see, woo, I was going from something that was pretty solid into like cutting air. And that's where you really have to pay attention when you're carving in a laminated board like this. When you're carving, when you're carving from one board into the next, because you don't know how soft and hard in comparison one is going to be. And that was a real trick. I still think this thing's cutting a little deep. Back that off a little bit more. So I'm going to go back and touch that up. folks. Well, I've carved those letters there. I think that gives you a pretty good representative sample. I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of these outset letters off of camera, and then we'll come back and we'll do some cleanup. We got a little 1-inch letters down here we got to carve too. So I'll do this, just don't want to take too much of your time. I'll do this off camera and we'll be right back and do something else. All right, you guys, we are back. So I've got all of the profiling done on the big 6-inch. This is a Pointedly Mad font, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. It's our Western font, but it's Pointedly Mad is the name of the font. So I've got all of that done. And since I've got this big fat cutting profile bit in here, I'm just going to go ahead and do these little inset letters like the original one. If you can look, these were little inset letters down in the corner. I messed you up there, babe. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So little inset letters. I think it's like a tribute to his father and his brother, I believe. So anyway, I'm going to cut these with this profile bit because it cuts pretty heavy anyway. Cuts pretty fat. I think I'm close as far as the depth on it, but I'll just go ahead and get those cut real quick. Still too deep. Okay, so those are all cut. I'll go ahead and do those other inset letters on the other end off camera. Then we'll come back and we'll set up to do the, sorry, I'm yelling again. We'll come back and set up to do the background on these big outset letters. So we'll be right back. Okay, guys and gals, we're back. So we have got the little 1-inch letters carved. We got all the profiling done. Now I used my chalk like I showed last week and kind of drew my cloud around, so everything inside of that white line theoretically is going to be all clean up. I've got my bigger 3/8 V-groove, 90-degree V-groove in there, just so it takes out a little bit more wood, doesn't take quite as long to take all that stuff out. So I'm using my bigger router. Again, use a little silicone on there, make sure that thing is gonna slide good for me. And we are gonna get to carving. So I'm gonna do some of this stuff so you guys can see what we're doing. Here we go. I think I've already got the depth set, and I think this is going to work out pretty good. So this is my big 618 router, DWP 618. You following me, baby? Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. that baby kicks out a lot of dust. That is a lot of happy right there. Anyway, all right, guys, so I think you got a pretty good idea of how I do that. You saw as I kind of came in some spots that what might be a little bit narrow, that I kind of lifted it up a little bit, make sure that I didn't nick the side of those numbers or numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and you guys, like I say, have a representative sample of what I'm doing there. I'm going to go ahead and dust myself off, finish this up, and then we'll be back and we'll get into some edging on this thing, get it sprayed, get it sanded off, and we'll see what it looks like. We'll be right back. Okay, guys and gals, we're back, and we've got all of the background done. Oh, I'm just screaming again. We got all of the background done. We got the little 1-inch inset letters done down in the corner. So what I'm going to do now is going to do the scalloping. You guys have seen me do it before, or most of you have, but it might be somebody new that hasn't seen that before. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm using, again, our big 618 router, and this has got our 45-degree chamfer bit in it, which is the same bit that I use for the scalloping. Got that 1/2-inch bearing on it. So I am just gonna kind of make my way through this. So I'm gonna do that front edge that's closest to you guys, so you guys can kind of see how I do that, in case you hadn't seen it before. It's pretty simple to do. Takes a little practice, but it's not hard to do. All right, here we go. Okay, that's what I call the scalloping. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the other 3 edges up off camera, and we will be right back, and we're down to the last few operations here. Pretty soon this will be a sign, so we'll be right back. Okay, here's what I need. Oh, you're rolling. I didn't know you were rolling.
Well, I wanted to see you do it. Go ahead.
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna spin this around. Speed, oh, okay. I'm not going fast enough, is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do that other edge off camera. So Vicky is going to actually shut off the camera right now, and we'll be right back. We are back, folks. All right, so now what we're going to do, we got all the scalloping done. I turned it over off camera, put a chamfer on the back side, and so now what I need to do is something I always do that when I do scalloping that's got these sharp corners. You can see right in here these sharp, really sharp corners. I just use a sanding block, and I'm just going to kind of take that sharp corner off. Number one, it keeps people from kind of getting poked because those things are really sharp. Number two, if that gets bumped after it's sprayed black, it won't come up white because it's a sharp corner. So I'm just going to do this other one here. That's it, and I'll do those other two off camera. So now what we got is I've got to go back and make sure I don't have any high spots in this background area. So I just use a little hand chisel, and I look for high spots like that. Are you with me, babe?
Yeah.
So, and what I mean by high spots is if I got a spot like this that I know is close to the surface after I've sanded a little bit down, if that is not down far enough, then that will come up to be a white spot after I've done the sanding.
You might want to explain the black, because it's pretty prominent.
The what?
The black spot.
Oh, this? That's where I put that CA glue, guys. Remember when I, back on, gosh, I want to say it was like 192, I put that CA glue in that gap there. It was a knot that had a really big, deep hole, and I put that CA glue in there. See how hard that is? That's all that is, but that's going to spray up just fine. This is all going to be black. So in here, just going to kind of take anything that's going to be that could be a high spot. I'm just going to kind of chisel that down, being careful not to nick my letters. And any of you guys have been watching for a while, you kind of know this process. So I'm going to go through, I'll probably spend 10 or 15 minutes going over this whole thing, guys. And then once I think I've got all my high spots down, then I'm going to take my stiff bristle brush and really brush the heck out of it. Try and get all of that loose stuff off. Brush it and then blow it. Blow it off with the blower. And I try and go from 2 or 3 different directions just to make sure all that loose stuff is out. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up off camera, guys. When we come back, we'll be spraying this thing black, and we'll sand it off, see what it looks like. So stay with me. We'll be right back. Okay, boys and girls, so we are back. The sign is pretty much complete. We're getting ready to spray our black. So this is the black spray that I use most of the time. I also use the Marsh ink, but this black primer, I just get it at Walmart. Works really good, just as good as the ink, I think. So, ooh, that round ink, I think. So I'm just going to spray kind of this area because, again, we're in our pretty tight enclosed studio, and the fumes get pretty strong. So I'm just going to give you an idea of how I go about doing this. Again, anybody that's been watching for a while know I go kind of short spurts. Now this isn't pine, this is redwood, so it won't have a tendency to bleed. But if I sprayed really super heavy and I poured it on, then it would. But generally speaking, I don't have any problem with the redwood in bleeding. So I'm going to, I don't want to spray my bench, so I'm not going to go down too far. But that gives you kind of an idea. Don't spray too heavy, because it'll be harder to sand off. So, and it will load up your belts. But the redwood is pretty forgiving when it comes to this primer. It doesn't bleed like the pine does. So that's about it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and spray the rest of this. I'm going to take it outside, spray all of this, spray the edges, the little letters, and then we will be back and we'll sand this thing off. So hang with us. We'll be right back. Okay, it is time to finish this thing up. So we're going to do the sanding on it, but before we do that, I want to show you guys something. This is kind of a good and a bad thing. When I was spraying this black after you guys saw me, it was kind of, it's morning now, but it was kind of as the sun was going down, I took it outside to spray it, and I realized that there was a couple spots, and you'll see some masking tape on here, and some masking tape here. What I was noticing, and this is something that you know, that I wanted to share with you guys, sometimes you have to be careful that something hasn't happened to your sign or your board before you start spraying it. So what happened was that I saw where some of my laminations and stuff, that there was some little divots in, or it may have received the black that I might have a tough time sanding out. So I caught 3 different places and I went ahead and masked them off. However, now in the light of the morning, much better light, I found some other places that I did not mask off, and you guys are going to see, you know, my mess up. So over here on the R, you can see there's a little bit of a gap right there where it's kind of a, I don't know if that's right on a lamination or whether it's but it's a little bit of a gap that I should have masked off before I started spraying my black. Also, in the B and the I here, it's starting to split. It's starting to open up on me because I haven't got a finish on it yet. This board, I've been playing with this sign now for weeks. Actually, I think like 3 weeks. It's the longest I've ever had a sign actually in the shop that I could remember. So normally by now it's long gone. So, and once the finish is on it, you're not going to have any problems with splitting. But now that I'm in the sunshine, this thing is starting to open up. So, and I can tell that it's split after I sprayed because there's no black down in the little split. It's not going to make that big a difference, but you guys are going to see me kind of repair that. I'm going to have to use putty and kind of repair it. So let this be a lesson to you guys, because I was going to talk about it when I was talking about this masking tape, but let this be a lesson to you guys. Always inspect your boards, your signs all the way through the process. Don't automatically assume that that the sign is going to stay the same. This is wood. It's unpredictable. That your board is going to stay the same all the way through the process. Inspect, always inspect before each next step of the process, especially before you spray your black. I learned kind of a hard lesson again on this, and I should have waited till morning to spray it and not spray it when I didn't have really good light. So anyway, we're going to sand it off, so I'm going to get right into the sanding off. I'm going to sand off a portion here, and you guys are going to see that, and then I'll do the rest of it off camera. So here we go. Using my 40 grit belt, by the way. So you guys are getting a treat. You're seeing me mess up all over the place. So here's that gap I was talking about and how it came out black because I didn't mask it off. If I had masked that off before I'd sprayed it, then it wouldn't have showed up black, so I'm going to need to putty that. The other thing, if you just kind of rewind the tape, you might not have caught that, but I let my belt sander tip a little bit, and it kind of nicked my stuff, so I'll need to use the Sharpie on that. So today's a day of mistakes. Congratulations to me, and maybe you guys can learn from my screw ups. Anyway, I'm going to sand off the rest of this thing off camera and see if I can screw something else up. And so we'll be back in just a minute, and then we'll see how this thing turns out. Bye-bye. Well, folks, guess what? We had another scene where somehow we lost our sound. Fortunately, it won't be a really long scene. It's only about 4 minutes long. But because I'm doing this via voiceover, you guys might have to adjust your volume up so that you can hear exactly what I'm saying. But what I'm doing here, what I'm describing, is there's a little bit of a kind of a little divot in that O right there that I'm pointing out on the screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my sander, and what I'm saying here is basically that the reason I like these little sanders, and I've got somewhat proficient with them, is that I can kind of pinpoint and sand out little imperfections if I need to sand a little bit more or a little bit less in different areas. These little sanders work really well for me in that respect. So you can see there that little spot is, I think I'm going to blow it off here in a second, but that little spot is completely gone now. So it was black because it was kind of a little ding that got sprayed, and so I was able to just sand that out. And that is the neat thing, again, about these little sanders, that I can just sand out some little imperfections. So I think what I'm doing is I'm basically describing that I'm kind of going through that. So the rough sand is pretty much all done on this board. What I'm going to do here in a minute. Now what I'm saying there is that little split where the I and the L and the B was, it actually just closed up on me. So what I was describing here is the fact that the boards may change in the process of doing your boards, of making your sign. It can, depending on the weather or the heat or the cool, it can expand and contract the board itself. And so that's why you have to get a finish on it as soon as possible. Once the finish is on and it's sealed up, you won't have that issue, but this board is still just bare wood. So what I did there is I sanded off that R, where that little gap was on that R, and I was able to sand that out too. So I didn't have as many imperfections in this sign as I originally thought when it was all sprayed black. So what I'm doing now is I'm going back and I'm using my little Porter cable sander with my 80 grit belt. And I'm just, because the belt I was using before was the 40 grit, so now I'm going to sand the whole thing again with the 80 grit belt and smooth it all down. But I'm only going to do a certain portion of it, this corner here on camera, and then once we're off camera here for this scene, I'll do the rest of it. So then I'll come back, and then I'm going to do a finish sand, a real fine finish sand with my little vibrator sander, my little skill vibrator sander. But you guys will see that on the next scene, which will have regular sound, not a voiceover the way this one was. For whatever reason, I didn't turn on my microphone, or Vicky didn't turn it on, but we're pretty much all done here on the scene, so we'll see you on the next one. All right, so now I've done both of my sanding with my 40 grit, and then went over the whole thing with my 80 grit. Now I've just got my little orbital sander, and I'm going to, and this has got a little 220 pad on it. I'm just going to go over the whole thing with that, just to kind of really smooth it up. Specifically, especially because this is a bar top. This isn't like a sign that people are going to see from 20, 30 yards away. This is going to be a bar top, so I'm going to put a little bit better sand on it. So it's pretty simple to do. Okay guys, I'll finish this up off camera. We'll be right back and we'll blow it off, see what it looks like. Okay, so let's see what this thing looks like. Not too bad. Got a couple little spots we got to hit with the Sharpie, but that's pretty minimal really. Little tiny. I don't like many more than that, but again, I had to sand it a little bit more than I normally would just to try and get rid of those little imperfections. But I'm pretty happy with it. This is the area where that CA glue was, and you can't even tell. Can't even tell it's there unless you know. So, all right, you guys, I'm gonna look this over a little bit more, then we're gonna come back and we will be done. We're gonna put a finish on this, put some helmsman on it, and show you what it looks like with the finish on it. So we'll be right back. Okay, so the sign is all done. It's time to put a finish on it. I love this part because this really brings the grain out. So let's see how this works out. So I love the way this redwood looks with a finish on it. Especially if you've got kind of the multiple colors of the white streaks through there like that, it just gives such a unique look. So guys, hope you like it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, tell your neighbors. And spread the word. I'm gonna finish this thing up, and I gotta put a coat on the back and the edges and stuff, but hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, anything I can help with, let me know. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will see you guys on Monday morning. Have a great one. Bye-bye.